Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Squared Circle podcast. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Buonasera, buongiorno, g'day, mate. How you doing? Welcome to another Squared Circle podcast. Andy Evans here, joined this week, thankfully, not on my own, joined by Sam Mello. Sam, how you doing, good sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good. As you can hear, I've got a voice back. It has
Will
taken a
you
week and 2 days.
will you have a voice by the end of tonight's show? That is the
I hope
question.
so, as my professional job outside of this podcast, I have to talk to patients on a daily basis, so I hope I still got my voice tomorrow.
Hang on a minute. You have a professional job?
I know someone was brave enough to give me a professional job one day.
Oh, I mean, there are treatments for that. We can arrange that.
I know my professional job is not to look like a thumb. I know I've just shaven, I'm clean shaven. I still look like a thumb. I get it.
Hang on a minute. Is that a dig? You're clean shaven. I've got a beard. Is that a dig? Right.
No, the fact that I look even more like a thumb now that I don't have
Okay.
a beard on me.
Fair enough. Because I get it from my boss all the time. You need to have a shave. You need to have a shave. It's like, really? I don't want to shave. We got a massive show coming up this week. Something happened over the weekend. I don't know if you've heard about it, but there was a certain wrestler released from All Elite Wrestling. Yes, we're going to be touching in that. So coming up on the show this week, we have got Talking Point, which is all going to be about the rise and fall of one Phil Brooks, one CM Punk. We're going to be doing the Results Center, which is going to be looking at All Out. We've got Road to 5-Star, which is going to be looking at Payback. We've got I was going to say celebrity, but we don't have a segment called celebrity. We've got Rewind. We have got Challenge, because he thought he got out of it last week by having a no voice. But Sam will be taking my quiz. And my quiz is Payback and All In, All Out related.
Very
And all it
nice.
said, in the show plan to Sam was "Good luck, ha 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 ha."
Yeah, it did. It really did. And I was quite worried and scared.
I would be, because it's not easy. It's not easy, this one. We're also going to be hearing throughout the show from special guests. So we're going to have comments from Tony Khan, taken from the media scrum from All Out last night. Dave Meltzer and Mike Maguire from Maguire on Wrestling are going to be doing a bit about the CM Punk bit as well. But if you want to listen to us on podcast, you can do. All you need to do is search for the Squared Circle on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, any other place a podcast drops, and you will hear the dulcet tones of one me.
And me.
Not, I said dulcet tones.
Oh, there's that.
Yeah, okay. Want to give a big thank you. What the heck? Want to give a big thank you and a big shout out to Impact Wrestling, because this past Sunday, well, actually, it was Saturday because I got the date wrong on the release. We welcomed Eddie Edwards to the show. It was a sit-down interview with Eddie Edwards and myself, talking all about the UK invasion. That's on podcast, and you can watch it on YouTube as well. So check it out if you haven't already.
Definitely worth a watch, listen. But it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Really interesting to hear what he has to say. So, yeah.
It was a different one this time. It was a very
Yeah.
unique interview. Yeah, very, very different take. All right, Sam, shall we get to it? Shall we start Talking Point?
We shall.
Let's do it after this. All right, so it's the rise and fall of CM Punk. This past Saturday, just before Collision took place from Chicago, I mean, Tony Khan, you couldn't plan this any better. A statement was released by All Elite Wrestling to state that they had released Phil Brooks. The statement reads as follows: All Elite Wrestling has terminated the wrestler and employment agreements between Philip Brooks and AEW with cause effective immediately. The termination was confirmed today by Tony Khan, CEO, General Manager, and Head of Creative of AEW. The termination follows a week-long investigation of an incident occurring backstage at AEW All in London on Sunday, August the 27th. Following the investigation, the AEW Discipline Committee met and later convened with outside legal counsel before making unanimous recommendation to Khan that CM Punk be terminated with cause. Khan offered the following: Phil played an important role within AEW, and I thank him for his contributions. The termination of his contracts with Cause is ultimately my decision and mine alone. Of course, I wish I didn't have to share this news, which may come as a disappointment to many of our fans. Nevertheless, I am making the decision in the best interests of the amazing people who make AEW possible every week. Our talent, staff, venue operators, and many others whose efforts are unsung but essential in bringing our fans great shows on television and in arenas and stadiums throughout the world. So, Sam, it's happened. CM Punk has gone from All Elite Wrestling. What's your take on it?
So I'm not going to lie. I'm going to put it out there. I'm quite shocked by it all. Um, but I very, very much understand where they're coming from. So, from the legal standpoint, you had an incident. It wasn't just a choking out of another wrestler where that could have easily been dealt with. It was the fact of what tailed on. It wasn't. It wasn't just a choke out of another wrestler or a push about. Some other people could have got severely hurt, and one of them being the owner of the company. I get it. What I'm also shocked about is the fact that of what has happened, the follow on that I feel a lot of people on the internet on a lot of that has said, well, why did Tony Khan do that video launch as well, where he's in front of the camera, start collision? It needed to be done because, in my view, that made it feel legit that it was happening. It wasn't a work, as some people were saying. Oh, he's going to be back in a month's time. No, that's him gone. He has officially left AEW. Not so much left; he's been let go. And my thing is, I am gutted because I'm a Punk fan, but I'm not gutted for the fact of what he did. At the
But
end of the day, for me, about the standpoint was if I did that at my job, I worked for the NHS. If I got irate with someone, pushed them about, and then other people were in other people's harm, I'd be fired instantly. So understandably, he was fired instantly. However, on the flip side, as a fan, I'm gutted that he's gone. Absolutely gutted he's gone. And I'm automatically wanting him in another promotion because I want to see him. But I understand that other promotions think he is not nice. He's a bit of a disease.
okay, so I want to break this down a little bit more. We are going to go to a clip in just a second from Maguire on Wrestling that dropped last night. Massive thank you to Mike Maguire for allowing us to play a portion of the show here tonight. If you haven't checked it out, check out Maguire on Wrestling on all podcast platforms. We're going to play that in just a second. But there's a couple of points that you've made that I don't want to challenge, but I kind of want to get a bit more in depth on because you made the contact about I'm surprised he's gone. Are you really? Because how many opportunities can a company, can an owner give someone before eventually going, enough is enough, it's time to go? Now, bear in mind, All Out just 1 year ago, the infamous brawl that took place between the Elite and between CM Punk, which saw them all get suspended. They were off TV for a number of weeks. Punk obviously had an injury. Then he comes back. He gets given Collision. That's his vehicle. That's his show to do really what he wanted to do. And then he goes and does what he did it all in. I mean, that
Oh,
really, there was no there's no way Tony Khan could have played it any other way, surely.
my thing more surprises. Okay, I didn't go into it too much. My surprise is it didn't happen so fast. It happened almost a week later. I'm. It should have been. I think it should have been on the spot. You're fired. You
Yeah.
literally need because it has been reported that there was TV monitors being knocked over, almost falling onto Tony Khan. Other people of the production team were nearly injured as well. For me, if I was the manager, I'd be like, no, you're fired. I don't care. I don't care the ramifications. I'll go through the courts. You're fired. I was very surprised after a week of it, or just under a week of it, for it to happen. One thing I am surprised at Tony Khan for doing is being very ballsy, so fair play to him. He's going out in front of that Chicago crowd and sitting on a chair to talk to them because, as I sent a clip to you, they were brutal. And when I say brutal, I think if it was in the 90s, a few chairs may have been thrown, or
Yeah,
in the 80s, should I say?
you say that, and I totally agree with you. If anyone's not seen the clip, they are on YouTube all over the place. People have put fan cam footage of Collision. We're not going to play it for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
Um, but I will say this: Tony Khan did show himself to be a master salesperson and a master negotiator because by the end of that, he had turned the crowd around and he got them on
Yeah,
side. And actually, as much as people are, already poo-pooing over Collision, oh, the show sucks now, that's CM Punk, blah, 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 blah. It was a good episode of AEW Collision. And in all credit where credit's due, and I can't believe I'm saying this, All Out was a very good pay-per-view. And it didn't need Punk because of one man, in my view, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, coming back. You couldn't play this any better if you were Tony Khan, because CM Punk leaves Collision, leaves All Elite. Who do you put into that main position now? The American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Someone put up on one of the groups where both me and you were in about All In, and it said about the fact of when these things happen about Mr. Phil Brooks, John Moxley steps up, and then someone then made the point when they did this. They said he steps up, but also Bryan Danielson steps up. It's the Black. Oh, I can never call it right. Blackpool Combat Club. I hate that name. I wish they were just called the Combat Club. No one's from Blackpool anymore. They've got Regal's gone to.
Yeah, I think they're splitting up very soon, but that's a whole different kettle of fish because of the way it's going. But
But
it's a very good
also
point.
The fact that we hear more stories, the fact that we've heard the story about Regal, we've heard the story about the Dark Order, we've heard all these different stories that are coming out, and I do slightly feel, is it they're coming out because they can come out, if that makes sense, the fact that he's gone, and are they being, oh, he's gone, so let's chuck my 2 pence worth, or is that actually making us as a fans actually not so much be fanboys for him, and actually realise he actually had a lot of things wrong about him? So
the problem is there's a lot of things that can always come out. Whenever something happens, whenever it's, like the McMahon incident in 2022, everybody started coming out of the woodwork and doing all of these stories. So you don't know. Let's not go to Hooked on Wrestling, because that's not what we're talking about. Let's go to Maguire on Wrestling, and let's have a quick listen to the conversation, a portion of the conversation between Dave Meltzer and Mike Maguire. We'll be back after this.
View of what happened. For those that don't fully know what was told to you or what you've heard, can you kind of give us a brief rundown of what was happening?
Every story is different,
right?
The gist of it is, Jungle Boy made those remarks during the match with Hook.
Mm-hmm.
Punk got mad, confronted him afterwards. Almost every version is Punk shoved him first, he got shoved back. Punk, 2 of the versions I heard threw punches, in the other version, which was kind of his version, he did not, but he did go for a choke. And a lot of stuff happened. Tony Khan was there while it was going on. Apparently there were, monitors that broke, and Punk said he quit. Punk went after Tony. As much as exactly what happened, I don't know. There is footage. There is footage, and Punk got terminated.
The part with the going after Tony is, and again, this is all allegedly. We don't know. We weren't there. This is just what's been reported or what's heard. But
yeah,
the going after Tony, to what degree do you know, or have you heard that he?
I've heard from strongly to weakly. So I don't, it's like it depends on the version. Most of the stuff I heard more related to Jack Perry, but he did blow up at Tony and said that he quit. And look, Tony said that he feared for his safety and feared for his life, and he feared for the safety of the production people. And I know, there's production people were, think about it. They're not happy. This isn't like something in a wrestling brawl that nobody sees. There was a lot of people there that were, like Tony said, 50-year-old men there that should not have been put in this position. And, that was, that was, I think that was the thing that, was the straw that broke the camel's back. And even if there was no straws previously, this one alone, going after Tony, you know what I mean? It's like, at some point, I just, again, it's a complicated thing. Tony, this is the last thing Tony ever wanted to do is get rid of him. The guy's a draw. He's a promoter. The Saturday show, I should say. The Saturday show, it was built around him. That's the reason that they had the show. They'd have had the show either way, but he was the key to the show. Tony didn't want to lose the guy. He gave the guy every chance. And, there might end up being legal action out of this. He said he was fired for cause. From day one, I always said time heals all wounds, but man, he kept moving the clock back. It's like every week, it's like, if it's going to take 6 months of, nothing before everyone could be cool, it was like every week he moved that 6 months back another week. And it was kind of like, it was, like if it wasn't this, there would probably be something next week.
And that's a very valid point by Dave Meltzer. He kept moving the clock back every 6 months. Now, that raises the question, and there has been speculation that since Punk came back, bear in mind that was only a few months ago, since he's come back, he has wanted to get out of his AEW contract.
Yeah.
And now he's done
being
that.
kept quiet. He's not.
So let's just take what Davis said there, because we've already touched on aspects of it as well. Let's look at the future of Collision, right? It's no secret that this show was a vehicle for CM Punk. And we've already mentioned that potentially you could get Bryan Danielson. I was going to call him Daniel Bryan then. You could get Bryan Danielson to come in and sit in that figurehead seat. But is that really the right thing to do? Because Collision has a different feel. It has a different look. It has a different dynamic to Dynamite. So what do? Do you carry on with the soft brand split now?
Yeah. And
okay.
Quite straightforward. I put a certain Jerry Lynn as a person who was in that slot. Jerry Lynn produced 2, if not 3, definitely 2 of the matches at All In. He is amazing. I think it would harm the product personally if you did. I went up, yeah, right. We're gonna scrap it. Obviously, not to get rid of Collision, but scrap it. No. I think keep it going, but put someone who isn't an active wrestler in the place of power. I agree with. I'm on another group chat that we discussed before, and someone said on that group chat, people in the place of power should not be active wrestlers, because how much of it is your own ego? How much is it all of this? And when you have situations like this, if, say, for instance, we're seeing that Phil Brooks was, I'm going to call him Phil Brooks because he's now not CM Punk, he's not in the ring. Phil Brooks was the man in charge, doing the booking, doing all of that lot, and then now he's not there, or anything type of this thing happens. My view is get someone who is so good at producing as the head person. But that's my own personal view. Obviously, you fans listening in, leave your comments below about what you think it should be. But yeah, that's my personal opinion. What about you, Andy?
I kind of agree with you to a point. I think that the problem with Collision is it now going to. I mean, let's be frank. Collision is one of the best 2 hours of TV, right?
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't put that down to CM Punk. I would put that down to people like Myro. I'd put that down to Darby Allin. I would actually put it down to Ricky Starks, who has been a phenomenal talent since being let loose and allowed to go. Chris Statlander, Ruby Soho, all of these guys that are getting featured time on Collision that are not getting it on Dynamite. My concern is Collision being tarred now as the CM Punk show.
Yeah, no, I see that.
And Tony Khan made a comment in the media scrum that they've now got 5 hours of TV, which they do. 2 hours of Dynamite, 2 hours of Collision, 1 hour Rampage. Well documented. We've been on this rant before about too much TV. You either hit a hard reset now on Collision, or you have to carry on with the same direction as you were doing. Personally, I would want them to carry on with the same direction, because to me, you make it a success. You prove you didn't need CM Punk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also want to go back to All Out 2020. What year are we in? 2022, right? When CM Punk took matters into his own hands and bit Kenny Omega and got into the brawl with the Elite.
That was Ace Steel.
All right. Yeah, same person. Same thing, same camp, right? And he was off TV. Did you miss CM Punk?
So I've said this on previous shows. I did and I didn't. I miss CM Punk because I think he's awesome. But at the same point, when he first came back, I was a bit like, no, mate, you've gone away. Why are you coming back?
Yeah.
But I was completely, because I'm also a massive CM Punk fan. I was there. I watched it live. I watched the Pipe Bomb promo live. I stayed up. I had it back when I had Sky at my mum and dad's house, and I remember sitting there going, I was in shock. I was like, are we seeing this actually happen? Like, is this actually happening? And then when I remember booing the TV, like, I was home alone. If I had people in the house at the time, I'd have woken them up because I was like, boo, when they turned off his mic. I was like, no, let him speak. Let him speak. He was for me, the voiceless. He was the redeemer. He was all stuff like that. Like, he was a redeemer before Miro was, but in a different way. And I was just such a massive CM Punk mark. But then I was like, you've been away for so many years. No. And then when he went away, I was a bit like, I don't know how I feel about this. And when he was then gone since All Out last year, when he came back, I was a bit like, why are they coming? Why is he coming back after all of that happening? Was this a ticking time bomb, or should I say a ticking pipe bomb that was ready to explode? Was he just going to lose his proverbial at some point at the worst way possible?
Which
So,
he did.
which
Which
he
he
did,
did.
yeah.
But you see, the other thing that you've got to point out, now I don't want to come across this as being a punk bash, because if you listen to Maguire on wrestling, Mike will call me out for the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of CM Punk, right? And I've said that, and I've admitted it on this show, and I said it on Maguire on wrestling. I was back in the day, absolutely. To me, though, Punk is past his prime, right? And we're never going to get him on this show, so I don't care. To me, Punk is past his prime,
Could
right?
you imagine?
No. I wouldn't be doing the interview. Let's put it that way. Mike, there's a slot available for you. Uh, he came back. He generated buzz, which is what you want. But then what happened? Following that Rampage, following that debut that he did on Rampage #2, you never saw Punk again on Rampage, right?
Yeah.
Ratings went down. Punk didn't perform to the level that he did in WWE or even Ring of Honor. And that's natural because he's a lot older, right? AEW is an alternative. It's meant to be the alternative promotion, right? You don't need CM Punk. To a degree, you don't need John Moxley as relied upon as what he is. I do agree with Bryan Danielson because I think he's a technical genius, and you can put him in the ring with anybody and you will get a 5-star classic, a la Ricky Starks at All Out. Tremendous match, right? Chris Jericho isn't the man to run Collision anymore. He's a part-timer. But you've got this young group of talent. You've got MJF. You've got Adam Cole. You've got Jack Perry. Okay. You've got Darby Allin. You've got all of these people that could take that mantle of Collision and make it something unique. And that's what I hope they do. I hope they don't give in the towel and turn it into Dynamite 2, because that will ruin it. It's a great product, it's a great show, and it's got a great look. Give it a chance to breathe and grow.
One thing I would say about that though, someone said on one of the many group chats, and then also on X, about the fact should they reboot Collision and call it something completely else,
No.
and stuff like that. No, you can't, because if you do that, you're making precedents of what's gone on. Scrape underneath the carpet, literally lift that rug up, scrape underneath there, squash that rug down, and don't lift it back up ever again.
Well, do you know what?
Like,
I'm good.
that's how I view it. Like,
I'm going to use a real life example, right? And this is opening the curtain to this show. When Stefan left, you and I had a conversation. The first thing you said to me was, why don't we rebrand it? Why don't we call it something different? To give it a fresh start, to give it a fresh coat of paint. It's a new code, new presenting team. And the first thing I said to you was no. And the reason is this show has got lineage. It goes back to 2005 with Lee and me and what we developed. And it's gone all the way through. It took a break, but it's come back. It's got an identity. And I'm not changing that identity because it's established. And it needs a chance. And if you say TSC, people still know who the Squared Circle is, right? So I'm not changing it. And it's exactly the same with Collision. Collision is established. It's getting there. It's still new. They could change it. But like you said, don't own up to the fact that they are saying that Punk would have been the only reason to draw. You don't need that. You've got FTR. We could list off 140 workers on that roster, yeah, that could make an impact on Collision. It's not about one man. And when you start booking it around one man, that product, or one woman, that product will fail. And that's what they can't do. Now, other news coming out regarding this, Sam, is courtesy of WrestleZone.com, and it's CM Punk is expected to respond soon. According to SI's Justin Barrasso, sources close to both CM Punk and AEW expect him to make a statement about his status. It's also noted that the termination did not come as a shock to the Warner Brothers CEO, President David Zaslav. SI say that Zaslav was informed of the decision to fire Punk ahead of issuing the press release. Fightful offered more details about what Punk's dismissal could mean for the future. So his status was discussed at a meeting ahead of Collision. Not all talent in town for StarCast and All Out were present, but it was noted that talent were asked not to commit. One source indicated that Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW discussed the soft brand split, not brand, coming to an end. Warner Brothers Discovery was told ahead of time about him being let go, and it echoes Barasso's report about Zaslav being tipped off. As far as the Young Bucks appearing on Collision, Fightful notes they were scheduled to be there as of Thursday. Danielson's return was also in the works as of Wednesday, and as we know, Danielson will now face, or did face, Ricky Starks at All Out. Collision's going to carry on. We know that. But what does Tony Khan think of this whole situation? Now, part of the media scrum, Khan was asked 2 questions, and we're going to play you the answers to those questions. Question 1 involved Jack Perry and his status. Question 2, which came from Nick Hoffman, asked, has Punk got a non-complete clause? Can't say it. Non-compete clause, not complete. All right, here we go.
Suspended indefinitely. I think we've suspended everybody in that investigation, and then took further action after that based on what happened and came out of the investigation. But as for Jack, we suspended Jack, and as a participant in an incident backstage, and Jack hasn't been around, but that's all I could say about it. But at the time, we did suspend him, and he hasn't been at AEW since AEW All In backstage in London. I don't want to discuss the terms of the separation in that sense. I think it's best to say, first of all, I very much want to thank CM Punk, Phil, for everything he did for AEW as a wrestler. But I don't think it was an easy decision for anybody on the discipline committee or for the outside counsel or for me to do something like that. But I do think it was a right move. And as far as what's going to happen in the future, I can't speak to that, but I'm not the attorneys who interpret all that language and stuff. Thanks.
All right, so there you go. That was Tony Khan talking about the situation. All right, let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we're either going to carry on with this or we're going to do a bit of wrestling history. So let's go to a new segment now. This is called Serious Promo. We'll see you after this. I'm winging this. We're winging this. That's a very important distinction. We'll get back to it. But I didn't plan on what I was going to say because I didn't know what to say, because I didn't know how I was going to feel. But I knew that I needed to feel it. And I feel you, Chicago. And I hear you, Chicago. That's what I've heard for 7 years. I heard you. And we've got a lot to cover. There's good news and bad news. The bad news is we're not going to get to all right here, right now. But the good news is I've got the time. Wednesday, Friday, 4 Sundays or Saturdays a year. I got the time and I ain't going anywhere. Wait 1 second. Possibly for me, the most important thing I'm going to say right now, and this is for everybody at home. This is for everybody who bought a ticket. This is for everybody in the back. If at all through my journey in any of my personal choices or decisions related to my life made you feel disappointed or let down, let me just say, I understand. If you all try to understand that I was never going to get healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally, staying in the same place that got me sick in the first place. Can I tell you guys a story? It's hot in here. Hang on 1 second. Can I tell you a story? You see, I felt before like I had to leave. I didn't want to, but I knew I couldn't stay, and that was when I used to work for a place called Ring of Honor. August 13th, 2005 was my last match in Ring of Honor, and I famously came out with tears in my eyes. And walking out here today, I now know why I was crying. And it's for a lot of reasons. But what it boiled down to was I had made a place where people could come work, get paid, learn their craft, and love professional wrestling. And I cried because I knew I was leaving a place that I love and it was a home. And I knew where I was going. It wasn't going to be easy for a guy like me because I'm one of you. So I look at it like this: August the 13th, 2005, I left professional wrestling. August the 20th, 2021, I'm back. And I'm back for you. I'm not going to lie. I'm back for me too. But I'm back because there's a hell of a lot of young talent that I wish I was surrounded by 10 years ago. So in saying that, I sit back and I say, well, hell, they're there now. So why aren't you? Here I am. I'm back because I want to work with that young talent that had the same passion that I had stamped out. I'm back because there's a couple of scores to sell in that locker room. I'm back for the young guys. Darby Allin. I've seen you. You're good. I've seen you jump out of airplanes. I've seen you wrapped up in a body bag and chucked over the top rope. I've seen you kick down a flight of stairs, and you always come back. Just like each and every person here in Chicago, you're tough, but I'm here to help. And you're the first on the list. I'm going to help you because you're a daredevil and you like danger. Well, Darby Allin, there's nothing you can do that is more dangerous than wrestling CM Punk, except wrestling CM Punk in Chicago. I will see you, and I'll see Sting, and I'll see all of you September 5th at All Out, live on pay-per-view. I'm back. That was CM Punk on AEW Rampage number 2, The First Dance. The return to professional wrestling. We'll be back with more after this. How poetic those words were. CM Punk returned to wrestling. I'm back. I'm here for the younger guys. But it was a younger guy you choked out.
Yep.
Listening back to that, Sam, listening back to that promo on Rampage number 2, the return of CM Punk. And I remember watching it. I watched it live via Fight. I remember texting Lee, and Lee and I were talking back and forth. He stayed up and watched it live. I think it was the first time he'd watched wrestling live for a number of years. Definitely the first time I stayed up and watched it live. I remember the goosebumps of the crowd when Punk came out, and the Chicago crowd, went absolutely nuts. Listening back to those words now, knowing all that we know following All Out, All In, the release, what's going through your mind?
Um, two things. One thing is someone put on Twitter, or X, should I say, this morning, that exact quote about that he was going to be there on those certain days. It went, "Phil Brooks, you lied," which I thought was quite funny. No, I think like you look back, there was that promo, and like you, like Lee, like everyone got goosebumps. Oh my God, CM Punk is back. This is amazing. This is amazing. Then we go to the flip side of it is the way he talked about it. And I've always said this, and I've always been an advocate of this. They shouldn't, in my view, personally, they shouldn't be like bringing up WWE unless it's needed. It's pointless bringing up. And he's deliberately in that promo doing a massive dig at WWE.
Mm.
When we know all's well is that he actually, while at WWE, had a good time. He's sour grapes and all that lot, but he actually had a good time while there. And to do a promo where you're basically saying the last blah blah amount of years, you can give two hoots about it. You're just being a bit of an idiot. That's the politest way I'm going to put for our family show. But it was an incredible promo, and like hearing you say about the words, incredible. Love that. So good. I was like, because as you guys know, so there's some parts of our show we don't know about, and Andy didn't tell me about that, so I was like, awesome. So yeah, no. I think also when we look about like in my view, the whole stuff that's going on, how poignant some of those words were. I'm going to be here, then this. I want to face the young talent. And he's talking about Darby Allin. Yet also he, in another part of the promo when he started and came back to professional wrestling, he had that whole moment with Luchasaurus and Jack Perry in the Jungle Boy Jack Perry in the ring, and said how I'm gonna knock you out one day. He was like, oh, well, you tried to. It's like it's almost like he foreshadowed loads of things in that return. So
Did CM Punk waste this opportunity within All
yeah,
Elite?
yeah. I think I've always thought when they brought him in, he should have been brought in almost like a Legends contract,
Yeah.
because he's not like others who maybe 3 years out of the ring. He had years out of the ring. My personal view is that he should have been brought in as a legend, not used all the time, not be a regular feature, not a pillar, because it's kind of gone past that point. Some people say, has he gone past his heyday? You could say that, you couldn't say that, because he did do still amazing moves in the ring. Like, don't get me wrong, like, you look at Jericho, he has been going for years, yet he sometimes feels like he's brand new, not in a green way, but as in his body's still young. He's able to do these moves that, mate, I'm 32 and I can't even fathom the idea of doing some of the moves he moves. Like, it's amazing, and that's the same with CM Punk. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, he has done boo boo moments where he's like really buggered up. However, for a guy his age, he's able to do some moves that are just simply incredible. So I like that match. Even though you're not a CM Punk mark, I can tell you, fans, when we were sat watching that match, there were some moves, and you went, oh, like, oh, whoa. Like,
No, okay, all right. Let me address that, right? Because I tried to address this with Mike on Maguire on Wrestling. I'm not the biggest CM Punk fan, and I've said that on this show, and I openly admit that. However, I will give respect where respect is due, and that match at All In was phenomenal. I've watched that match back a few times now on the pay-per-view, right? And it was absolutely phenomenal. The chemistry between Punk and Joe was undeniable. You could see that. There were some really weird moments, like the whole hulking up, or punking up, if you want to call it that. Don't get it. But looking back on it now, thinking, being the analyst, thinking back in an analytical way and doing what if in assumptions, you've got to think at this point, Punk went out there, didn't care. He knew something was going to happen, right? You had to. I mean, how many opportunities do you get given? You've just attempted, in Tony Khan's word, to put his life at risk. That's the owner of the company. You're not going to be staying on the TV, right?
No.
So Punk went out there and didn't give a damn.
Some people said they're very surprised he didn't do the laydown. Yeah, a lot of people said they're very surprised he didn't. If he was going out there already, basically knew he was going to be fired, that he didn't go out there and just lay down on the ground.
Can you imagine the British crowd if that had happened?
I think stuff would have been thrown.
Oh yeah.
I think security and police would have been involved, even from where we were sat in level 2.
In all fairness, Sam, if I could have done it, I would have thrown you into the ring if that had happened. You would have been you would have been my ammunition. Or that chap who sat next to you, who had no emotions. I could have sent him in. You might. But
no, if you threw me in, I'd just instantly go up to Joe and go, "Nice to meet you. You're a
hi."
Throw me out, I don't care.
My name's Sam. My name's Sam. Okay, what is we're gonna anybody who knows me.
You're Samoa Joe. You're Samoa Joe.
All right.
Joe.
Okay. All right. We're not doing that story again. We're going to do this bit, then we're going to wrap this bit up and move on with the show, because we could talk about CM Punk. At the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen. What is next for CM Punk? Where does he go? Is he done in professional wrestling? Because you've got the Mark boys coming out going, oh, guess where the Royal Rumble is going to be taking place in January of 2024? It's called Chicago. Tony Khan's insinuated that another company is going to the Sears Center in, not the Sears Center, where they ran All Out last night, in August, which is why they can't go back to the same venue. So they'll go to the other one in Chicago. Now that'd be interesting, because it sounds like two shows running on the same night.
In the same state.
Yeah. Is he going back to WWE, or has that ship well and truly sailed?
I fully admit I would mark out if he turned up, because I'm a CM Punk monk. Do you know what I'd actually prefer him if he was to go anywhere? And I'm going to say this. NWA. Because I think that locker room will not let him be the way he is. They will knock him down.
The
I
problem with
think certain people are not.
the problem with the NWA, Sam, is it's too small a product for him. They wouldn't be able to pay his wages.
No, there is
If
that.
if anything, I would have said New Japan, but New Japan are too
Impact
tight with
1000.
AEW, right?
Yeah.
So they won't touch him. Impact, I don't think will touch him. The problem with CM Punk now is I think he's got this status around him of being a poison within a locker room, right? He's upset WWE. Him and them are on the outs. The comments he's made about WWE, let's put it this way: I wouldn't take him back, but money talks. And what's happened in AEW, that has to be the last straw. I can't see him coming back into professional wrestling for a couple of years at least. And then you've got to go, will his body hold up? Because we already saw it falling apart in All Elite, right? So I don't know. But saying that, in a couple of weeks' time, the Endeavor sale will go through. TKO
Okay.
company will be formed. It won't be a McMahon decision then. It will come down to the Endeavor funds. Money talks.
And also, the one thing I would say about, I wouldn't be surprised if he went to WWE one day, not saying soon, but one day, is because the fact that time that he turned up about a few months ago when he turned up backstage and he talked to wrestlers and he had those chats and he went and had those moments. I'm not saying he's like rebuilt all the bridges he's burnt, but he had discussions.
Oh,
He had those moments, and he's still got friends there. But then I'm just gutted that all of this has happened, because just imagine if we actually had the moment at Impact 1000 of him and Ace still coming out.
oh God, no. Liam,
Well,
God,
because
no.
it's part of history.
Yeah, let's move on. Right, okay, so that's CM Punk. Let us know what you think in the comments across social media on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, and X. It's TSC Wrestling Pod using the hashtag TSC Pod. I want to give a big shout out to Stephanie Chase. She's a reporter for Digital Spy, who has launched her brand new podcast. Check that out. We'll put a link in the narrative as well. Mike Maguire, Hooked on Wrestling, always a good listen. Listen to them because that's where you hear Dave Meltzer exclusively, not on Wrestling Observer Live, but on Maguire on Wrestling. So always worth a shout. I'm on it this week as well, talking all in. There we go. Right, Sam, we're going to break the show plan now. We're going to break the format. What would you like to do next? Would you like to rewind history or would you like a challenge?
Do you know what? I'm going to take the challenge.
All right, you asked for it. Here we go. This is Challenge. Oh, hello. What's going on here? Well, that didn't work, did it? That's not good. Okay, we're going to go back to the two-man overlay because for some reason that went wrong. All right, this is Challenge. Smoothly covered, smoothly handled. I know what I forgot to do there. There we go. Right, this is Challenge. How this works is very simple. I have got 10 questions for you, Sam. I'm going to ask you all 10 questions, and you need to see how many you get correct. For people who are keeping score, I technically got 7. However, really, I got 6 because I got one of them wrong and you were being generous and gave me the score. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. These are Payback all pay-per-views. All right. How many paybacks have there been, including this year's?
6.
Wrong. 7.
Oh, I was one out.
In what year was Payback last shown on pay-per-view or premium live event?
2021.
Oh,
I was 1 year out,
no.
wasn't I?
You're 1 year out. It was 2020.
Literally, it was between 2020 and 2021. I couldn't remember if it was actually the year of Oh, I should have stuck to my guns.
All right. What was the first match to be aired at AEW All Out 2019? Now, this is a trick question because it could be pay-per-view, it could be 0 hour. The first match aired.
Was it a Battle Royale or Battle Royal?
Do you know what? I'm going to give you that. I am going to give you that. It was the 21-woman casino battle royale, which took place on 0 Hour. So I will give you that one. That's one. Question 4. What was the main event of All Out 2020?
Oh, was that? Yeah, that was Jericho versus Hangman and Page for the AEW World Title.
So Sam obviously hasn't watched or listened to last Friday's show because that was the main event of 2019. The main event of 2020 was John Moxley facing off against MJF for the AEW World Championship. So 1 at the moment. Question 5. Good luck. What was the main event of Payback 2016?
Oh God. The year that I couldn't watch much wrestling because I was working as a youth worker. I can't even.
Give you a clue. I'll give you a clue. One of the participants is still world champion now.
Oh, it would be then. Would it be by any chance? Yeah. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar.
Very close. Roman Reigns versus the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Was that Payback?
That was at Payback 2016.
Oh, wow.
All right. Question 1. Which current WWE superstar did Kurt Angle lose the IWGP Championship to?
Oh, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Correct. 2 points. Well done. Which WWE superstar's real name is Colby Lopez?
Oh, Seth frickin' Rollins.
3 correct. What year did Becky Lynch...
He was also called Tyler Black.
He was, yeah. What year did Becky Lynch sign with the WWE? For those of you who are listening on audio, he's trying to work this out in his head and counting on fingers. He really is counting on fingers. I was making this bit up, but he is actually counting on fingers.
2015?
Oh, no. 2013. Very close. Yeah, and she signed in 2013. She debuted on TV in 2014. So still only a year out. Well done.
Yeah.
Now, in which month did Tony Khan announce that he had purchased Ring of Honor?
February.
Close. It was March. Now, you've
got to get
half
point for everyone.
No.
Okay.
You have to get this one right. Okay? You have to get this one right. If you don't, I'm going to be very, very disappointed in you. Who allegedly bit Kenny Omega in the post All Out fight?
The Pitbull Ace Steel.
There we go. You got 4 correct. Now, bear in mind, I wrote this quiz for last week's show. That's actually quite tongue-in-cheek, the way this has all worked out. There you go. 6 points for me in the last quiz, 4 points to Sam. Well done. You see, that wasn't as bad as you thought.
Yeah, for you. When you're out on everything.
The thing is, I'll tell you what, guys. These are going to get progressively harder now because we're going to be trying to smart each other. He's going to try and catch me out. I'm going to do a quiz purely on wrestler names, real names.
Yeah, I love.
I know that's the problem.
I'll
All right, let us go. Before we hit this week in wrestling history, let's go to the results center and let's give you a predictions league update because it has changed, and we will look more at what was the pay-per-view last night? Oh yeah, All Out. All Out, man. All Out.
All Out, man.
All right, welcome back to the Results Center here at the Squared Circle. Looking back to last night's All Out pay-per-view. We are just 7 days removed from All In. Can't even say it. All In London. So let's break down what happened. Plus, we'll give you an update on the Prediction League. So we're going to do this in main pay-per-view card order, kicking off with the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Better Than You, Bebe, Adam Cole and MJF defeated Dark Order. Samoa Joe defeated the Shane Taylor for the Ring of Honor TV Championship. Luchasaurus retained the TNT Championship over Darby Allin. Powerhouse Hobbs lost to Miro, and we had the debut of one CJ Perry. For the TBS Championship, Chris Statlander retained over Ruby Soho. Thanks coming off of Collision. Ricky Starks faced off against Bryan Danielson in a no DQ strap match where the American Dragon defeated Ricky Starks. In tag team action, it was the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, who defeated Eddie Kingston and Shibata. In singles action, this was a surprise of the night. Kensuke Takeshita defeated Kenny Omega. In 8-man tag team action, the Bullet Club Gold, the Bullet Club, Jay White, and Juice Robinson, along with the Gun Club, defeated FTR and the Young Bucks. And in the main event, it was for the International Championship, Orange Cassidy defending against Jon Moxley, and we have a new international champion. The era of Freshly Squeezed has come to an end. So what does that do to the TSC Prediction League? Well, coming out of All Out, I scored 4 points. Sam scored 6. So we're going to be going into Payback. Me on 14, Sam on 16. It could all change. Right, back to the show. We've got more coming up. We will see you right after this. All right, so that was the Event Center results. Not the Event Center, it was the Results Center. We got too many centers on this show, right? We need a new name. In fact, do you know what? I'm going to make this interesting. I'm going to open a competition right now. Prize to be announced for the listener who comes up with the best names for News Round, Event Center, and the Results Center. So 3 new show titles. You let us know either via social media or commenting on this video, and we will pick the best one and you will win a prize. Don't know what it is yet. I'll sort something out, but we'll win a prize. How's that sound, Sam?
That sounds awesome. Also, can I just say, the sound music we've got for the Results Center just then reminds me of X-Men, the old cartoon. I love it.
Do you know what? You don't know this yet. I've been debating changing the theme music for the show to that.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
So I've been debating it. So
you heard it here first.
We'll put a poll up. We'll put a poll up on Spotify.
Yeah.
If everybody wants us to change it, vote yes. If not, vote no. The one with the massive win. You know how poll works. We'll go with the majority. All right, let's try again this week in wrestling history. I'm not going to put the thingy up at the top because I've realized I've gone wrong. But this week in wrestling history is one of my favorite segments because we're going to rewind time, everybody. Are you ready? Here we go. All right, so we're going to kick it off this week, and we are going to go back to September the 4th, 1995. Does that date, Sam, sound familiar to you for any particular reason?
I was 4 years old.
That just makes me feel sick. Right. No, that's
That
not
means you
where
were
I was
14.
going.
So it's
Yes,
not
it
that
does
bad.
mean I was 14. Let's not go there, please. It was the date of the historic... You're fired. The historic first episode
Oh,
of WCW Monday Nitro from the unique setting that was the Mall of America in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The first match in Nitro history saw the loose cannon Brian Pillman face off against Jushin Thunder Liger, and the night's main event was between long-term rivals, the Nature Boy Ric Flair and Sting. The most shocking moment of the night saw Lex Luger appear on the show when most people believed he was still contracted to the WWF, setting the tone for the anything can happen vibe that Nitro traded off until its final episode in March of 2001, which was also headlined by Ric Flair and Sting. And I remember watching this Nitro episode. Bear in mind, back in the day when Nitro aired here in the UK, it was on TNT. We used to get a 1 hour highlight package on a Friday night at 1 a.m. right? And then it moved to 11 o'clock. So at one point, it was really cool because you could watch the repeat of Monday Night Raw on a Friday night on Sky Sports. Then you would jump over to TNT and you would watch WCW. So you had like 3 hours of wrestling on a Friday night, all called Monday Night something. It was a bit weird. But I remember watching the pay per view for the WWF 24 hours earlier when this happened with Lex Luger competing on it. And then 24 hours later, he walks into the Mall of Minneapolis in Minnesota. And it was brilliant. It really was a jaw drops moment of, huh? What is going on? And then, of course, that followed on in a couple of years later, well, a couple of months later, with Ravishing Rick Rude appearing on Monday Night Raw with DX and on Nitro at the same time with the NWO, right? Incredible.
It gave results.
Who did give results? It's always
Yeah.
take check. There's a great book actually. If you've not read it, it's called Nitro, and it's by a guy. I think it's called Guy Dixon, and I think I've talked about this on the show before. It's a book that is recommended by Eric Bischoff, and Guy Dixon went such lengths to get the research. He was speaking to TNT officials, Warner Brothers officials, Turner officials, Eric Bischoff, DDP, everybody that was involved in the formation of Nitro and what led to its closure, and also the whole thing with Bischoff trying to buy it, back in 2001. So if you've not read it yet, grab yourself a copy. It is available on Amazon and all good retailers, but it's well worth it. It's one of the best wrestling bios, wrestling stories that you can get. That's real. Okay, next up, we're going to go to AEW. We're going to go to, funnily enough, All Elite, All Out 2020 that took place on September the 5th from Daily's Place in Jacksonville. The Mammoth 11-match card was headlined by what match, Sam? What was the main event?
MJF versus John Moxley for the
Yeah.
AEW World Title.
Who won? Who won?
Well, John Moxley.
Yeah, he retained the AEW championship against MJF just a year before MJF won it, of course, on pay-per-view. Elsewhere on the card, Britt Baker and Big Swole competed in a cinematic tooth and nail match in Baker's dentist surgery, and Orange Cassidy got the better of Chris Jericho in a Mimosa Mayhem match. You remember the days? That's where the whole
Yeah.
freshly squeezed come out. It was absolutely tremendous. The
Can I
last
just say
bit,
with that, I
yeah.
thought that I was one of the only people I knew that loved the idea of that match. Everyone else I knew hated the idea of that. I thought it was brilliant. I thought
Yeah.
you're really pushing into it.
I'm glad you weren't on the show at that point because you would have been fired afterwards.
Well, it was freshly squeezed champagne put together.
Yeah, Sam.
Mimosa.
Sam, you had credibility before that statement. You need to drop it now, all right? Okay, you had credibility.
It's all true. This is all true.
Enough,
I never had credibility in the
enough.
first
No,
place.
shh. The last one is going back. I can't carry on now. You thought the mimosa match was worth it. The last one involves the Nature Boy Ric Flair because on September the 8th, 1991, the NWA officially stripped the Nature Boy Ric Flair of the World Heavyweight title. Flair had left WCW in July, but was still officially the WCW NWA champion. WCW took the main belt off of him immediately on paper only, as he would turn up on the WWF television with the big gold belt that same week. For some reason, it took the NWA 2 months to do the same. I mean, that was classic, wasn't it? You remember the bit? I don't know if you ever saw this, but it was SummerSlam 1991. Of course, Bobby the Brain Heenan, the legend on commentary with the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper, and Gorilla Monsoon, all Hall of Famers. And there's a bit where they go to the locker room of Hulk Hogan, right?
Yeah.
He's got the real world championship on his shoulder, the big gold belt, and Hogan just slams the door in his face. And because of what happened with the NWA, I don't know if you know this, they had to replace the big gold belt with a world tag team title.
No, I didn't know that.
So they actually were carrying around the world tag team title instead of the big gold once the NWA officially got the title back.
Oh, wow.
A little bit of trivia for you. You see, you get a bit of everything on this show. There you go. Results Centre a minute ago. First of all, congratulations on becoming the winner of the Prediction League so far. Who knows what happened at Payback? We'll touch on that in just a second. We're not going to break all out down in detail because we have been quite AEW heavy over the last few weeks. I want to get your opinion on one thing, though. Orange Cassidy, all joking aside, that run that Orange Cassidy has had with the International Championship, has that made him a main event player now?
Yes, and there's only one thing in my personal view that they need to now do. So my own personal view, fans, you could please leave me things in the comments if you hate this, what I'm about to say. He needs to change his attire, needs to change the thing. I think it would be brilliant. He's had this long run, massive long run. Think the storytelling. He's had this long run. Look at him at All In. He's getting absolutely battered. But he's found this dark side that can smash up a bottle and put it onto his like glove. Does all that, then loses the title he's had for so long. He's all disheveled, and then he comes back with this whole new attitude, whole new look. That's my own personal view, because I think the guy, Orange Cassidy himself, is an incredible wrestler. I just think the point, I am starting to lose the interest of this whole all tap. But obviously, some people love that as his selling point. I just want to see him being in a full-on match and a full-on brawl. That's my personal opinion.
I think,
but taking away from the match was incredible.
I think I get what you're saying, and I think it's very similar to Jungle Boy situation, right? I mean, the Jungle Boy gimmick would only get you so far. It was never going to get you into main event. It's never going to get that world strap on you. And let's be frank, I don't know if Jack Perry will ever get the world strap to a degree. But the Jungle Boy was the fan favorite, you know, the coming out with Baltimore, with Tarzan Boy and all that type of thing. And it worked, but it was a niche audience. I think you've got a valid point with Orange Cassidy in the fact that, you know, you give him this bit more of a hardcore edge. I would kind of take it one step forward now, one step further. Heel turn.
Yeah.
Now, just go. I'll tell you the reason why. I haven't got that in tonight. It's the first time I've got that in. If you turn Orange Cassidy heel and he goes on the Best Friends, right? He sneakily aligns with Ricky Starks or with the BCC or something like that, and you see this new attitude. It's going to give him a refreshed character. He could play on the fans in terms of all you wanted me to do was sacrifice my body week in and week out for that international championship. And when I lost it, you didn't give a damn. You don't care about me. You just care about the next person who's got the belt, right? It's booking 101. Do it right. And like you said, change his look a little bit. He's flying. He's off to the races.
Yeah.
Absolutely off to the races.
I think if they did that, he is main event worthy. But right now, he is international champion worthy.
He's mid-card, yeah.
Worthy, but no further.
But
yeah.
I still don't. But
he could get a massive hook.
He could do, but I still do not get the point of that international championship.
Yeah, you either have that or the TNT, not both.
No, I don't know. I would go as far as saying I don't get the point between that and the world title, because the world title is defended against anybody in the world, right? You're the world champion. The international championship is competed against anybody internationally. What's the difference?
Okay, I'm going to flip that to you. Have in WWE, we have the World Heavyweight title, but we also have the US title and the Intercontinental title. The US title, so people wrestling in the US, and the Intercontinental title, or Intercontinental, aka around the world. So it's that thing it's an old question we always have.
It is, and I would answer that by saying this: the Intercontinental Championship is the TNT title,
yeah,
and the US title should be destroyed. Hopefully, with Rey Mysterio wearing it. Yeah, Dominic put him out to pastures. He shouldn't still be competing. I'm a big fan of Dirty Dom.
Yeah,
Dirty
same
Dom.
here. I first hated it. I love Dirty Dom's now.
He's so grown. You talk about a character that has just taken it by the horns and run with it. That's what Dominic Mysterio has done. He's gone, I don't care. I'm having fun with it. And that partnership with Mammy, Rhea Ripley, is... I couldn't care if the Judgment Day split up tomorrow. I would still want Rhea Ripley and Dominic to be together. They are one of the highlights of NXT for me.
But before we go any further away from All Out, I want to big up one wrestler in particular, and that is the Redeemer, Miro. Boy, was that match awesome. Me. I loved it. Literally, I'm a massive Miro fan when he was Rusev, Alexander Rusev, but Miro. Oh, seeing that man live also at All In. I know it was just the contract signing, but awesome. Andy will tell you I marked out like there was no tomorrow for him.
No, you really did. But what got me, even from our vantage point, is how big is that guy? He is. Same with Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean,
Yeah.
both of them are absolutely stacked.
Absolute stats.
Do you know what I loved about it on one hand and what I hated about it on the other hand? I loved the fact that CJ Perry came out. I thought that was brilliant. About time. What I hated about it, recycling the WWF storyline.
Yeah, I did forget that, and I was a bit, and then also how Rusev was. Oh, sorry, not Rusev, Miro. Kind of looked at her going, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
yeah, I thought I left you in the trailer in the back.
I mean, come on, this is all elite. You don't start recycling the WWF storylines. I think that's just that to me was lazy booking. It was just a way everybody knows that CJ Perry and Miro are husband and wife. You know that, right? I like the fact that obviously they didn't even go with anything similar to the Lana name. Brilliant. And she came out as it has a real name, CJ Perry. But don't play off this whole, we divorced and we left gimmick because all right, I say some fans are not going to know. AEW fans are the ones who will know. WWE fans wouldn't really care. But yeah, no, go fresh. Go something fresh. Don't recycle this storyline, please. You're going to damage Miro if you carry
Yeah,
this on.
absolutely. I'd almost understand it if it was the fact that she smacked him over the back, but Miro didn't even know what's going on. That's how they've done it.
Yeah, I mean, or, another way could have been Powerhouse Hobbs got Miro into a submission move and then CJ Perry came in and threw the towel without Miro knowing. That could have been another way of doing it. And then you get this alignment between CJ Perry and Powerhouse Hobbs. That could have worked, but not this whole cutting a promo saying, you can't leave me, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, come on. This is not WWE. This is All Elite Wrestling. I don't want this promo. I don't want this to happen. I want it to be fresh. Very quickly, what would you rate All Out compared to All In?
Oh, that's a toughie. I haven't watched All In back yet. I've still got the blues. I've still got the blues. I will watch it at some point. No, I think for me, I would probably mark it compared to All In. All In got a 5 out of 5 until I watch it back. Probably still get a 5 out of 5. But I think I'd give it a 4.
A lot of
4.5.
people, a lot of people that I've read online are saying it's a better show pound for pound than All In.
Until I watch All In back, I can't make that firm judgment. But fans, don't you worry, I will watch it back when the Blues has eased themselves down. I will watch it back. But yeah, it's a very good. From what we were so worried leaving Wembley, going how are they going to follow that with All Out? All Out did good, but for me at the moment, it doesn't beat All In. But that might be
All Out. All Out did very good. But my concern, and I said this on Maguire on Wrestling as well, was Tony Khan needs to get better at doing long-term booking. Right? You can't book an entire pay-per-view in the last 7 days, and the difference is, now that All In and All Out are going to be the exact same pattern next year as what they are this year, right? Start that book in July. Yeah, start releasing matches.
Or in June.
Or June, July, whatever. But start releasing matches. Cover All In, cover All Out. Get them promoted because that's how you're going to get your buys. And he's very good at last minute booking. It's like lastminute.com, right? And I don't know how he does it, but he pulls it off. He does last minute booking and does a 5-star pay-per-view. I just don't know how he does it. I really don't. And full credit to Tony Khan. And yes, people in the comments will be saying I'm an AEW Tony Khan fanboy. I'm not. I will give credit where credit is due. He pulls it off, and I don't know how. Because there is no hope in hell WWE could do the same thing. No chance. The only company I think might be able to pull it off is Impact to a degree. And that's depending how they booked it. How much you would give Deonna Purrazzo, how much you would give Eddie Edwards, who you can listen to and watch right now on the Squared Circle podcast channel and on YouTube at TSC Wrestling Pod. Or click the link in the comments. Cheap plug. And don't forget, you can see Impact Wrestling in October across the shores here in the UK on October the 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th in Coventry. Guess what? We're going to be there October the 29th. Just saying. So yeah, I think it's yeah, get your booking sorted, my friend. That's what you need to do, I think, personally. Yeah, agreed?
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let us do it. Let's move away from All Out. We're going to go to road results to 5-star. What is wrong with me tonight? We're going to go to the road to 5-star when we come back. It's all about WWE Payback and Prediction League update. We'll see you after this. It's that last little bit on that one, like ding, ding. It's like you're coming out of the segment there, don't you? Road to 5-star this week, all about WWE Payback. It went down live this Saturday on the WWE Network internationally, or on Peacock in the US, Rogers in Canada. We're going to go through the matches. We're going to go through the results. We're going to give you the results of our predictions, and we're going to give it a score out of 5, each individual match and the pay-per-view as a whole. Now, bearing in mind, last week we gave All In a strong 5 out of 5. So it's going to be intriguing to see how WWE competes this one. Sam, I think, what were your impressions going into Payback? Because I said it on the show last week. I was actually quite, and I still am a little bit, burnt out on professional wrestling because of, All In the week and everything else and going into it. We've now gone into 2 pay-per-views over 2 nights. What
Oh
was
yeah,
what were you thinking about? What was your impression of Payback going into it?
yeah. So my impression going into it was I was really looking forward to it because some of the matches were pretty good, but also at the same point I was a bit like, I am so burnt out. I'm literally so burnt all out, you could say. And I even said this to my mate. If I didn't do a weekly wrestling podcast, I would probably take a month off from wrestling. And that's no offense to wrestling, but that's offense to my eyes. I've watched so much wrestling recently, more than we do for this show, and I'm like, I don't know if I can cope any longer. I'm gonna have a mental breakdown just from him in wrestling. But I love wrestling too much, so I won't. I will do a weekly wrestling podcast with this a wonderful man next to me, Mr. Andy Evans.
Oh.
So no, I love it. Um, my other impression with it is a bit like the All Out situation. I felt like some of the matches did feel a bit last minute booked, be it the change in stipulation, or we're going to have suddenly this or suddenly that. But what happened? We got really, really good matches. We're going to talk about them, but there were some of the matches on this card that I didn't think were going to be any good. No offense to them, I didn't think they were going to be that much. And I was a bit like, meh. I was left going, wow, was I wrong? I'm not saying they were world class, not saying they were match of the year candidate, but they were so much better than I'd expect them to.
Well, let's take you through the matches. We're not going to do them in card order. We're just going to do them as we've written them down on this. It makes no real impact to what we're going to do. We're going to kick off with the match that did open the pay-per-view, though. That was the steel cage match between Trish Stratus, WWE Hauler, and Becky Lynch. Of course, Trish accompanied by Zoe Stark. Becky Lynch went over in this one, which both Sam and I predicted. So 1 point. The finish obviously came with, now you've got to think, the face turn of Trish Stratus. She was beaten down by Zoe Stark at the end of the match. What did you think of this one? For me, this was one of those matches that I really didn't care about, but actually took me by surprise. And credit where credit is due, because I never realized until it was said on commentary that Trish Stratus had never been in a steel cage match in her career. Never knew that.
Yeah, no, and I was the same. I was like, oh wow, really? I love those little bits of facts we learn along the way. So, like you, going into this match, I was really not looking forward to it. I was like, oh no, she retired. She had the whole, I'm gone away. I'm not wrestling anymore. Made that big thing against her match against Charlotte Flair. This is my last ever match. And she came back, and I was like, oh no, just maybe come back for one match. And then we're just carrying on. I'm getting quite bored and quite stale of it. This match then scraped away all that staleness and was incredible. And I'm going to big big kudos to young Mistress Stratus. That moment when her legs are trapped in the steel cage and she's dangling upside down, it made my head feel like it was about
Mm.
with
Yeah,
blood.
absolutely.
Oh, amazing! But that superplex as well, just the whole match, it really showed how she can still go and how Becky Lynch is the man. She's in fantastic form, and I think she can work with anyone, and it's golden.
So where do we go now? Do we now go with Trish sailing back off into retirement? Do we go into a program now with Zoe Stark? That seems the natural course, and obviously we're going to find out tonight on Monday Night Raw. I would imagine which way we're going to go. Becky Lynch, though, there was an interesting interaction between her and NXT Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton following that tweet where she mistakenly said that Becky Lynch was an NXT Women's Champion. Is that what we're seeing next? Are we seeing Becky Lynch going to NXT to face off against Stratton?
Yeah, and I truly believe we're not gonna get what Charlotte Flair had, where she won the title. I think Becky Lynch is going to lose the title, and it's going to make her I'm not saying going heel turn, but they go, wow, I can't win this title, and they almost like want to constantly go for it, and we'll have a few matches between her and what's called Tiffany Stratton. That's
Does
my
that need to
view.
does that need to happen though? Because in theory, not Austin's theory, but in theory, does Becky Lynch? She doesn't need to win the NXT
No.
Women's Champion, and if anything, it wouldn't hurt her not to win it because it would give Tiffany Stratton the rub.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is eventually. But for storyline wise, we're going to have the fact that Tiffany's always going to win, Becky's not going to win, and that's my personal view. But then also on the flip side of that, what a rub for Tiffany Stratton. I
Oh,
think she's
amazing!
brilliant. She's really making herself. But there was a line that Becky did in that backstage segment that cracked me up. Go back into your Mattel box. I
Oh,
cracked up
yeah,
at that line. I thought that's fantastic. The whole fact that
brilliant.
she's Barbie.
I'm just going to say, if anybody's listening to this or watching this and you're seeing some stutting, then we have got some internet issues. I think it's on Sam's side. It shouldn't affect you too much, but there might be some altercations, some times where we might be talking over each other, but that's purely because of the net. So we apologize for that. What would you give this match out of 5 then on the road to 5-star?
I'd probably give this a 4, no more than a 4.
Wow. Okay.
And I'll tell you for why.
Don't you dare nick my catchphrase.
I didn't. I used it slightly different.
Yeah.
But it was really good. I feel if it was later on in the night, I felt it was almost at a point they were trying too hard to be right. We're going to set the bar high, and it didn't fully meet that bar high moment. But that's my personal view.
WWE have got a habit of doing this lately, haven't they? They put big performers on the opening match. They did it with Brock Lesnar in I can't remember what it was a couple of months ago. Interesting one. I'm not giving it that high. It was good. I'm going 3.5. Similar sort of reasons as to you. I think I kind of want it to be done now. And, Trish I love Trish. I've always loved Trish Stratus. I've interviewed Trish Stratus. She's a lovely woman. Been featured on a website, just pointing that out. And so was Toby, actually. And I want to give Toby a shout out in a minute if he's listening to this. But time to go now. Time to go home. You're giving your kids a moment. They've seen you compete. Time to go back and let this new generation take the mantle that you did at Evolution and move it even forward. But I love you, Trish. But nothing personal. But go home. Go home. Next up, we're going to skip this one. We're going to come back to it. The US Championship is on the line. The man who should never hold it, Rey Mysterio, facing off against Austin Theory. Rey Mysterio went over in this one. You got the point. I didn't, because I stupidly thought that Austin Theory would actually win the thing back. Didn't happen. Rey Mysterio is still your US champion. Yeah, this is a 1.5 for me. I did not enjoy this at all. This was the weakest match on the card for me. In all honesty.
Yeah, it honestly felt like a pre-show match. It felt like...
I know I'm coming across a bit harsh on Rey Mysterio tonight, but this is where it felt like Ray has lost the step, right? And because Ray has lost the step, that's naturally brought Austin Theory down in terms of performance because he's not being booked the same as what he was about 3 or 4 months ago. And you're seeing that, and it's struggling, and it's a shame because Austin Theory is a damn good performer that could be up there. My concern with Theory is they're going to start booking in the Dolph Ziggler route, so he's going to become like the constant jobber who gets a little bit of a push and then nothing else, and a little bit of a push and then nothing else.
Nope. He is
I'm
the
glad
new
you.
face. He is going to be turned face, and he's going to become the new face of WWE, or as in the big face guy. I'll tell you for why. He has done so much of meeting fans at the moment, and he. Sorry, I used your line. Sorry. It's an easy line to say, but he has met loads of fans, and he has changed a few kids' life already with Make a Wish, and stuff like that. And he is loved, and he is by all reports commended by a lot of people backstage for being that guy. So I think he would work as a face, but that's my personal view.
I think you might be right. However, I don't think they're going to turn him yet, and I will tell you the reason why. Because you're already doing this massive face turn with LA Knight. You can't change two characters to be the face of the company when you've got someone like LA Knight who's being turned. That's my personal opinion. And they put too much work into LA. I think the thing with Austin Theory is, and it's very funny because you never used to think about main roster going back to NXT. And so far, we've seen it with Dana Brooke, and we've seen it with Baron Corbin, and we've seen it with Natalia to a degree. I would actually send him back to NXT and I would rebuild his stock up again. You talk about his work rate, which is high and it's brilliant anyway. Him against Carmelo Hayes for the NXT title. Him against
Chef's
Ilya Dragunov.
kiss.
Yeah, him against Ilya Dragunov. Him against Trick Williams. You know, the matches are there for Austin Theory to go and make his own. And I think actually it's not a demotion anymore to go back to NXT. You can make a massive name for yourself on that promotion. So send him back. SmackDown is too heavy at the moment. They don't need him. Where's he going to go? He's never going to get in that main event picture. You've still got this bloodline storyline happening in Jimmy and Jay. We'll touch on that in a second. You've got LA Knight that's pretty much now been moved over to Monday Night Raw. You've got all of these different avenues, but while Roman is champion, you're not going to get a look in. Go back to NXT. That's my take. That is my take. All right, so you gave it 2.5, 3. I gave it 2.5. This pay-per-view's not swearing up so far. Oh, you gave it 2. I gave it 1.5. That's right. Next up, Women's World Championship. Rhea Ripley, Mami versus Raquel Rodriguez. This was a clean sweep. We both said Rhea Ripley. It was Rhea Ripley retaining it. This did what it had to do. This made Rhea Ripley look strong.
Absolutely. So strong. So strong. Mami, you're in charge.
But credit where credit's due, Raquel Rodriguez got a damn good showing as well. Did you have any, going into this one, I mean, you know, we didn't do the preview. I kind of did the preview last week and we didn't really talk about it. In your mind, did you think there was any question about Rhea Ripley not walking out as the women's champion?
No. I always thought she was going to win. She just needed someone strong to make her look even stronger.
So where do you go now? Do you carry on this feud with Raquel Rodriguez?
No, I see her just destroying everyone, carrying on as this strong person till a Survivor Series moment or something. I think the best way to do it without harming her is having her destroy people, destroy. And then when she finally does lose, it makes a massive moment for that person who beats her. But also, it then does. I don't think it would harm her because you look at all these other people who destroy, and then they get destroyed themselves. They then go away for like 2-3 weeks or even a month, and then suddenly return to a pay-per-view. I think that's how the best way they should do it. But also, I'm starting to think they're starting to go down the line of I beat all the women. Come on, men.
Oh
At me.
no.
I don't want it. I personally don't want it, and that's nothing against intergender wrestling. I just don't think it's needed. But for me, a Tozawa match, maybe. A little match against a few jobbers, maybe. But to do a full-on, I'm going for like the Intercontinental title or the US title, it doesn't work for me. So yeah, it's a conflicting moment, but I'm worried that's where they're going with it all.
Okay, so on the spot right now, who takes the title off of Rhea Ripley?
Tiffany Stratton. I'll tell you for why. It's going to be a bounce back thing. No, I'll tell you for why, because it's the fact of you've got the dark emo girl versus the Barbie blonde girl. It works perfect. It's a storytelling perfect at Mania next year.
No, not Mania next year. Got it. What comes out on digital download in the next couple of weeks?
No, Barbie girls.
Right. So Tiffany Stratton with Margot Robbie in her corner, facing off against Becky Lynch with Ryan Gosling in her corner, facing off against Rhea Ripley with the other Ken in her corner in a Barbie on a pole match.
I didn't know we could do this, but you're fired.
Hang on, it's my show.
No. Please, no. The only on a pole match should ever be is lead pipe on a pole match because they're brilliant. No.
How about
No.
how about a Barbie out match? You've had the lights out match. This is a Barbie out match.
Okay. Is it going past your bedtime, Andy? Because these are
Yeah.
starting to sound a bit crazy.
Well,
Can we move on to the next match?
No. It's a bit like the episode of Grey's Anatomy back in season, I think it was season 2, where someone got admitted for eating like 80 dolls' heads.
Yeah, Toad. Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway,
You haven't
moving on.
You haven't even got to one of the weirdest episodes, but yeah. Well,
I know,
get
we're
to
getting
that,
there.
Sure.
I'm not doing a Grey spin-off, all right? It's not happening. Undisputed Tag Team Championships were on the line next as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens went up against the Judgment Days, Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Fair to say, this one took us both by surprise because we both went with a retain, but it was the Judgment Day that became the new World Tag Team Champions. I didn't expect it, but I damn sure like it.
Match of the night.
Oh, God, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
All I hope, I really hope and I pray that finally we have a tag team that can unify those titles and make them into one. Instead of 2 belts, is 2 my nut in.
Well, don't count your chickens before they're hatched, mate. Not going to happen. But at the moment, the Judgment Day have got all the gold. NXT North American Champion Dominic Mysterio, Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley, World Tag Team Champions Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Mr. Money in the Bank, or Senor in the Bank. So, this could be an interesting time. It is leading up to the split of the Judgment Day. I think that's very clear. Normally, I would have said I'm against it using the championships as a pawn in this, but actually, this is perfect. It was a cracking match. It's great seeing him on form again, with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Balor was doing some of the best work of his career since being aligned with Judgment Day. You then throw in this X factor of JD McDonough, and you just did the lip smacking move. Absolutely right. It's I don't even know what you call that. It was absolutely brilliant.
Chef's kiss.
Thank you very much. There you go. Learn something new every day. What would you give this one out of 5?
5 out of 5.
Sam's giving it 5 out of 5. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5. I'm not going to give it 5. It wasn't perfect. It was bloody good, but not perfect. So 4.5 out of 5. Next up, the match where the stipulation got changed thanks to the guest host. You can't see me. John Cena was guest referee as LA Knight. Yeah, let me talk to you. Faced off against The Miz. No surprise here. We both got a point. LA Knight went over. Yeah. Okay. 3 out of 5. It didn't need to be any more than that. it didn't really need to do much. Although, aggressive arm raise by John Cena to LA Knight at the end. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. Which makes me wonder, WrestleMania, Cena versus LA Knight. You know you're meant to say something. You can't just have dead air, right?
No, it's just the fact of like, for me, this match. I so hope. But a lot of people also said that what if actually this was going to be Cena turning heel, or at least playing the heel against a face LA Knight? Because I've seen a lot of people say it should be LA Knight versus John Cena, and that'll be the biggest rub for LA Knight because
It
he
should
is
be.
becoming the biggest face and the biggest talker and that lot. And I agree. And I think it would work well with actually almost like Cena going, no, mate, you're not. You'll know me. I am the guy. I'm the guy. I'm the guy. Yeah.
But
But no, wrong. It's LA
if
Knight.
if you wait until WrestleMania, is that too long?
No.
Keep
John
building him
Cena's
up.
done it. Yeah, John Cena's done it before. John Cena's done the whole elongating a storyline, coming back here and there, coming back here and there. But also you've got the fact that John Cena's there for the next
7 weeks.
SmackDowns. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've had
But
this 1 week already gone. You've got 6 more.
okay, I mean, he's obviously making full use of the SAG-AFTRA strike and coming back to WWE to get a paycheck. Fair play to him. I'm very cynical tonight. But there's a case in point to say that LA Knight could win the Royal Rumble and headline WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, do you do it potentially by having John Cena as a mystery opponent in the Royal Rumble and eliminate LA Knight?
Nope.
Because I don't see, at this point, I don't see how you build that match because all arguments would be LA Knight winning the Rumble, going to WrestleMania, and taking one of the 2 world titles, either this WWE Championship, which isn't going to happen, it's going to be Gunther, or actually it'll be Cody Rhodes because it's the 40th anniversary. They'll do it at WrestleMania 40 where you win the title, or he'll be going up against the World Heavyweight Champion, which hopefully isn't Seth Rollins at that point. So I just don't know how they're going to build this story. Because
Easy.
my concern is, Sam, this could be an Adam Cole situation where they don't pull the trigger fast enough on LA Knight.
No, I'll tell you a little bit of pre-booking, fancy booking.
Hang
LA Knight-
on. And let me tell you the reason why.
Okay, so because we're just 2 dudes with attitude.
Oh, for God's sake.
So no, what it is LA Knight wins the Royal Rumble. The 6-man elimination chamber happens between Royal Rumble and Mania. We then get full heel Cena knocking someone out to get into that elimination chamber match. He then wins the elimination chamber match, but that is for the world heavyweight title. So then John Cena gets another one of his however many ever, is it 16, 17? I don't know, I've lost track.
Yeah.
So then it helps that, and he retire from that with that number, but he then loses that title to LA Knight, who has built up the face. So by the time we have the Royal Rumble, that's his face turn full moment. That is the full stop exclamation mark of him turning face.
Yeah.
That's my booking, and then that's night 1's main event. John Cena versus LA Knight for the World Heavyweight Championship. Night 2 is Gunther versus Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the Universal whatever title it's called.
It's a fair, you know what, that's not a fair plan. And maybe, as we get to the run up of WrestleMania 40, we'll start looking at it. But that's not a bad plan. Score, I've given it 3. What are you giving this match?
3. Doesn't get any more or less.
Fair point. And that brings us on to the main event. World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins defends against Shinsuke Nakamura. I got the point. Sam didn't. I actually needed this point. I will admit, I needed this. I got the point. Sam didn't. Seth Rollins went over. It was too soon to take the title off of Seth Rollins. However, if there was one person that could have done it in this recent run, it would have been Nakamura. So I can understand where you would have gone. What were your opinions on the match?
It was really good. I felt at points, I'm going to say this, it felt a little bit rushed. I felt a bit
Yeah.
like, oh, is it that they've been told, right, guys, actually, we've run a bit over time. We actually need to run it down a bit. You've got 5 less minutes. You
Yeah.
haven't got the 5 more minutes that Adam Cole and MJF might be allowed to have. And I just felt that's how it affects it. It got a 4.5 for me. It was still amazing, but I think if it had that bit more time, it didn't feel so rushed. It would have been a 5 star.
It got a 4 from me, partly because of that, and partly because I think I was just like, it's Payback. Nothing really monumental happens on Payback. We've just come off SummerSlam. You're now on the road to Survivor Series, so they're not going to do a major title switch. And they'd already done a surprise on the Grayson Waller effect by having Jey Uso announce it's now being a part of the Raw brand. So I couldn't see that happening. There was that suspension there gone. But it was a cracking match for what it was. And I want to see a rematch between these two, and I want to see a stipulation.
And we're going to, because in an exclusive on YouTube, after the match, Shinsuke Nakamura attacked Seth Rollins as he was going down, going back to go backstage. So he got attacked. So that's going to carry on. It's not all you've lost the match. That's it done. No, we'll have more matches, and I think
Good.
that'll be to Survivor Series. Going to be awesome. But
Yeah, because
upon the
no, Karen.
yeah. So you touched upon the fact of how too soon, and that's the thing. I do agree. Yeah, it would have been too soon. However, that's why I said about the fact that Nakamura would win, because he was the only person, I call him the assassin, Shinsuke Nakamura, because he seems like an assassin. He's this whole new dark character. He was the only one who I've actually believed that could actually take the title off him.
And I would totally agree with you on that. This new heel Nakamura is more refreshed and is more on it than any incarnation of Nakamura that we've had before. I'm enjoying him more. They've taken him back to the New Japan Strong Style Nakamura, where he is a genuine tough guy. So I'm with you on that. Pay-per-view out of 5.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. I think I would go with 4 out of 5 as well. So funny enough, do you know what? I didn't know this. I wrote 4 out of 5 for both of us on the show plan. There we go. What did that do to the prediction league? Well, as we went in from All Out, as we realized, I was on 14, Sam was on 16. Payback has been 4 each. So if you're keeping track, that means I'm now on 18 and Sam is on 20. So Sam's in the lead by 2 points, but it can all change. Now, someone did contact me on social media and said, why are we not counting Impact in the prediction league, Emergence, multi-universe, multiverse? And that's a very good point. So we will be. Turning Point 2023, which takes place in the UK, in Newcastle, will become part of the prediction league. But before that, Bound for Glory will become part of the prediction league, and we will be covering Impact's pay-per-views as part of this and Road to 5-star. So don't worry. I also got asked about the NWA. The problem with the NWA is you can't really get it over here, so it's very difficult to cover the NWA. But Impact, absolutely, starting with Bound for Glory, will be part of the pay-per-view prediction league. More chances for me to lose.
Or me.
No, it'll be me.
It's all to play for.
It'll be me. 2 points in it. 3 pay-per-views, 2 points in it. Not too bad. Right, we're coming rapidly towards the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week. It's been a big one with CM Punk news. Obviously, thanks to Mike McGuire and McGuire on Wrestling for allowing us to play a portion of that show. Check it out on podcast now, McGuire on Wrestling. Thanks to All Elite Wrestling for allowing us to play a portion of the Scrum with Tony Khan, and for a lot of other people that have been involved in this show. But I want to draw your attention to one thing. Are you a fan of racing, Sam?
I am a fan of racing.
You're a fan of racing. Are you a fan of drones?
Yes, very much a fan of drones.
Okay. And are you a fan of extreme sports?
Yes, why wouldn't I be a fan of extreme sports? It's one of the reasons why I'm a wrestling fan.
Okay. And do you have access to Pluto TV?
No, I don't right now, but I will get it.
Okay, because on Pluto TV, starting tomorrow night, the 5th of September at 8 p.m., exclusive on the Extreme Sports channel, is the brand new Drone Racing League. It comes to the UK for the first time ever. Now, the Drone Racing League is the world's first professional drone racing series. It features the best drone pilots watched by millions of fans around the world. Combining groundbreaking technology and immersive drone racing, DRL creates a new era of sport that presents thrilling competition in both real life, virtual simulation, and the metaverse. DRL starts broadcasting on British TV tomorrow night, the 5th of September at 8 p.m. only on the Extreme channel. Drone Racing League is the defining sport of the 21st century. 12 of the world's best pilots race custom built drones at around 140 kilometers per hour through spectacular courses, both physical and virtual. Their drones are equipped with cameras that feed a live feed of the pilot's first person view goggles, making it feel like they're flying inside the drone. The goal of the pilots is to cover a complicated air route in the shortest possible time. The competition takes place in legendary locations such as sports stadiums, historic palaces, and iconic museums around the world, as well as virtually in DRL Sim, a real drone racing video game available for download on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, and Epic Games. More information can be found at extreme.com or via social media at Extreme Channel UK. But that's the Drone Racing League kicking off tomorrow, the 5th of September, 8 p.m., exclusive to the Extreme Sports Channel. There we go. I can't wait for that. I'm going to be in my hotel in the Midlands, and I will tune into that to watch that. That'll be really good. One last thing before we go, I want to give a big shout out, if I can. Big congratulations to former TWS host Toby Whiteford, who got married over this past weekend. Congratulations, Toby, and to your beautiful wife. Have a great time on honeymoon. Best of luck from all of us here at TSC going forward. Wish you all the very best. That's it. That's it for us, Sam. That's another show in the can. Nice of you to join me. Nice of you to come back. Nice of you not to take another week off.
It was merely because my voice. I had no
It was merely because
voice. No, right. I will happily say we did it all in. I went all out with my voice. We then did a podcast 2 days later after already filming all of Road Agents. So then when it came to our second show of the week, and I'd been back at work where I have to talk to patients, relatives, and social workers, my throat was burnt out, let alone my brain from wrestling.
I will say,
get to this week's show. Wow.
I will say this, right? And I know I've taken the mick out of Sam tonight. You sent me an audio message on WhatsApp, right? And the first thing I did, I sent back to you going, do you really think you should be doing the show tonight? Okay, because you had no voice. To be honest, I thought you had laryngitis. Yeah, no word of a lie. And you actually went, I'll do it if you think I should. And it was like, no, go. Don't. So I'm glad you took the week off. It's good having you back. It's good having my tag team partner back. We jest, but it's all in good fun. All right, we'll be back next week with more of the TSC, more of the Squared Circle podcast. Who knows what's coming up? I haven't got a clue. The show plan got thrown out the window because of the CM Punk news. So we'll be back with a talking point next week. There's something happening in India this week on Friday, so we'll be touching on that and a whole lot more. Until then, Sam, any comments before we go?
No, absolutely love this week's show. And guys, do not be afraid to message us on Twitter, or X, should I say. Don't be afraid to message us on here or on Instagram, everything. Literally, it'd be so lush to hear from you guys. We've already heard from some of the guys we interviewed out on our Road Agents podcast. And don't forget, you can go back and watch previous episodes or listen to previous episodes. Go and watch our Road Agents when we went to All In. We're gonna do the same when we go up to Impact. It's going to be amazing. Going forward, we've got so many ideas, we've got so many new, fresh things that are happening. Please be involved. Please be part of that. Do the polls, do the comments. We love you guys, and you guys, I'm sure, love us. So, no, literally, all I can say is can't wait for this next week in wrestling. We'll see you next week.
See you soon. We'll see you then. Take care, everybody. See you at the matches. Bye-bye.